Welcome to the Deep Dive. We're digging into the latest economic and social reports coming out of Ethiopia this week.
That's right. We're drawing heavily on the detailed, on-the-ground reporting from Addis Fortune. They really capture the pulse of what's happening.
And our goal today is simple. Cut through the noise, give you clear insights. We're looking at these huge contradictions playing out right now.
Yeah, it's this constant tension, isn't it? You've got these big, ambitious government policies aiming for, say, global integration. But then they clash, sometimes really violently, with the immediate realities on the ground. Things like friction, soaring costs, hitting households hard.
Okay, let's dive right into that tension. A really powerful starting point is the Aricha Festival. It's this incredible moment of spiritual renewal.
Absolutely. Thousands converging near Meskel Square. People in those distinctive black, red, and white shawls. A real cultural centerpiece.
But here's that contradiction we talked about. Almost immediately, that rich cultural heritage gets sort of, well, privatized, doesn't it? It becomes an inflationary seasonal commodity.
It's quite striking how fast that happens. The spiritual side triggers this sharp economic spike. The reports detail it really well.
Like what?
Well, for instance, taking a horse ride during the festival that cost 100 birr this year. Double what it was last year.
Wow, double.
And we read about an 81-year-old pilgrim, Mengesha Likichufa. He paid 900 birr just for a modest room over in the Kirkos district. Prices really shoot up.
And the personal investment in tradition, it's significant financially. The sources mentioned one woman, Shurgamata. She estimated her whole traditional outfit, beautiful as it was, cost her over 5,000 birr.
Which, let's be clear, for an average person working in the city, that's easily a couple of months' worth of basic living expenses. It's a major outlay.
And it's not just the festival goers feeling the squeeze. The hospitality sector itself is struggling too, right?
Definitely. We heard from Feta Weldesenbet. He's the president of the Ethiopian Hotel and Tourism Employers Federation. And he's basically saying, look, inflation plus these really heavy loan obligations are forcing hotels to hike their tariffs. There's not much choice.
That's what's he asking for.
He's pushing policymakers hard for 25-year loan maturities, essentially asking the government to help absorb some of that inflationary pressure through longer-term credit.
Interesting. And yet, tourism officials are out there reporting, 4.8 billion birr in revenue for the season?
Yeah, big numbers. But then you see that classic disconnect. Widespread reports of poor service delivery, overbooking, price gouging.
Undermining the very potential they're trying to build.
Exactly. High ambition meets, well, shaky execution. And that kind of instability, it pops up elsewhere, too. Not just in services.
Where else are you seeing it?
Think about massive real estate projects. Let's shift from the cultural side to development. Look at the Bank of Abyssinia story, losing that huge plot for their headquarters.
Ah, yes, that was going to be quite the statement piece, wasn't it? Near Mexico Square, a 270-meter tower, 60 stories.
With that distinctive diamond crown design. Huge ambition, like you said.
And then, just like that, the city administration takes the plot back, redesignated for the Eureka factory terminal.
And the reaction from shareholders. Pure fury, according to the reports.
I bet.
Wadalat Gedemo was quoted expressing how painful it was to lose what they saw as our property, especially after some initial work had begun. They wanted answers. Transparency.
Okay, hold on, though. Didn't the city administration have a legal basis for this? I mean, if the bank missed the deadline to start building?
That's the official line, yes. The deputy head, Makanan Terefe, pointed to the contract timeframe. He said they failed to start construction within the legal 48-month deadline for large projects. That's based on a 2011 law.
So legally, the city might be in the clear. Then where does all that shareholder fury really stem from? Is it just frustration?
It's more than that, I think. It's the feeling that the city's priorities just suddenly shifted under their feet. Even if the legal justification exists, pulling the plug on such a high-profile project.
It sends a message.
Precisely. It signals significant risk for developers, no matter how big. City priorities can change, sometimes quite abruptly, shifting towards public use projects like a bus terminal. That unpredictability is the key issue here.
That kind of structural unpredictability, it really connects down to the instability felt by ordinary households too, doesn't it? Especially when you look at education.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the textbook crisis. This 4-year curriculum overhaul was meant to improve things, but it's led to these crippling shortages.
And the financial burden on parents is just immense.
The human cost really comes through in the reporting. Take Mekonnen Terefe, and this is a different Mekonnen Terefe, a retired civil servant, not the city official we mentioned earlier.
Right, got it.
He had to pay 2,350 birr. Not for textbooks for his daughters, but for one shared copy between them.
Shared. For that price, that's staggering.
And it doesn't stop there. Binyam Sisse, an IT technician, his total school bill for the year, including trying to source books, hit nearly 18,000 birr.
18,000?
He said that's more than half his entire monthly income. Just gone trying to educate his kids under this new system.
And you've got this infuriating contradiction in the market itself. Officials are quoting textbook prices, somewhere between 72 and 190 birr?
Yeah, those are the official figures. But where do the books actually show up? In private kiosks, places like Arat Kilo, Bitarawi.
At hugely marked up prices.
Exactly. It's fueling this illegal trade, this black market. Police have made arrests, but the problem persists.
It really points to a systemic failure, doesn't it? Like Falcon Academy, they got a 300,000 birr refund last year because the books just never arrived.
And school directors, like Addis quoted in the reports, they're deeply suspicious. They suspect finished books are somehow making their way onto street stalls while the schools themselves are left waiting.
So who's taking the blame officially?
Well, the Addis Ababa Education Bureau seems to be pointing fingers back at the schools. They claim delays happen because schools are slow in collecting payments. There's this 250 million birr revolving fund.
But does that really explain the whole picture if books are ending up on the black market?
It feels like deflection.
Yeah.
And if you zoom out, connect the dots, the bigger vulnerability here is the system's heavy reliance on external donor funding.
Ah, right. Programs like GEQIP, the General Education Quality Improvement Program, they drive a lot of this large-scale book procurement.
Exactly. And when those donor funding cycles hit a snag or the money doesn't flow smoothly through the domestic system,
the whole thing just collapses, leaving parents scrambling and kids without books. That dependence is a critical weakness.
And that very need for more reliable internal revenue streams brings us neatly to the next pressure point for households.
Yep.
This new motor vehicle circulation tax.
Okay, the vehicle tax. What's the key insight here? Because it seems like there are mixed messages.
Well, the crucial thing to grasp is how the government is using sort of green language promoting electric vehicles, environmental concerns, to actually meet very immediate fiscal targets.
Set by the IMF.
Precisely. The IMF required Ethiopia to boost domestic revenue, lift that tax to GDP ratio by, I think it was 1.7 percentage points. So new taxes were basically inevitable.
Fiscal necessity wrapped in a green cloak.
You could put it that way. But for someone like Kiddis Abate, a shop owner quoted in the reports, he's already dealing with existing annual fees of over 4,400 birr, a business tax of 180,000 birr, plus spending 20,000 birr on new tires.
So adding another tax on top.
He just feels like the government is being aggressive, hitting people who are already stretched thin.
And what are the experts saying about the policy design itself? Is it well thought out?
Not according to some. Barakat Tesfaye, an expert cited, calls the policy rushed.
Rushed how?
It lacks a proper phased approach. Other countries pushing EVs offer huge subsidies, incentives, build up charging infrastructure first. Here, it feels like they're penalizing conventional vehicles before the alternatives are truly viable or affordable for most people.
Right, you need the charging stations, the financing options, the technical capacity.
All of which are still pretty scarce.
And there's an economic warning too, isn't there, from Jiram Amaha?
Yes, a very important one. He cautions that just layering this new vehicle tax on top of existing property taxes, VAT, excise taxes, it risks pushing the real burden onto middle and lower income households.
How so?
Because transportation providers, taxis, buses, delivery services, if their costs go up significantly, they'll have little choice but to pass those costs on to consumers. It just squeezes disposable income even further.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. From household pressures to the industrial landscape. There's been a significant move from Mesfin Industrial Engineering.
That's right, a major rebranding. They're now Mesfin Metals and Engineering Pulf, or just Mesfin.
Why the change? What's the strategy?
It's really about survival and optics. They need to distance themselves from what they call unfair associations with wartime activities.
You mean the links to the effort conglomerate, the allegations about war finance, money laundering?
Exactly. Those associations led to frozen accounts, threatened their ability to compete. The rebranding is an attempt to shed that shadow.
And that shadow came at a real cost, didn't it?
A huge cost. The company reported over 1 billion birr in losses directly related to the war. And the rebranding itself wasn't cheap, nearly 3 million birr. Plus, employment dropped from around 1,850 down to 1,500.
So it's an expensive attempt to turn the page. What's the new vision?
The managing director, Tessa McGiddy, is really emphasizing a shift. They want to be seen as a modern corporate manufacturer. They've structured into 6 divisions, things like industrial construction, components for the energy sector.
Signaling professionalism, trying to move beyond politics.
That seems to be the goal. Essential if they want to win federal support and contracts for reconstruction efforts, which they're actively seeking.
This focus on local production, on rebuilding, it ties into another area of tension. The government's attempts to use tariffs to support local industry. The import substitution push.
Yeah, and it's creating some really tricky unintended consequences, a real dilemma.
How so? What are the contradictions?
Well, the government says it wants to support the Ethiopia Tamrid Initiative. Let Ethiopia produce, primarily to save precious foreign currency. Laudable goal. But look at the actual tariff adjustments. Duty on imported raw peanuts dropped from 35% down to 15%. Okay, that seems helpful for local food processors.
Makes sense. Lower input costs.
Right. But then, tariffs on essential inputs like folding cartons and plastic packaging actually increased, went up from 15% to 25%.
Wait, so they made the raw material cheaper, but the packaging more expensive?
Exactly. And that hit local manufacturers immediately. Hinok Chimechu from Babel Peanut Butter, he directly blames those higher packaging tariffs for a massive 40% jump in his product's price, up to 440 birr a kilo.
So the policy designed to help local production ended up making the final local product significantly more expensive.
That's quite the own goal.
It highlights the complexity. You need to look at the whole value chain, not just one part. And this inconsistency seems widespread.
Any other examples? Well, you see incentives for importing CKD refrigerator kits. Completely knocked down. Those are now duty-free, encouraging local assembly.
Okay.
But then SKD components, semi-knocked down, saw tariffs increase. And the Sarah Kebraham points out another oddity: new electric vehicle assemblies, a sector they supposedly want to boost.
Yeah.
They now face a new 15% VAT and a 3% social responsibility tax. It risks choking off growth in that very sector just as it's getting started. It seems counterintuitive.
It really does. Okay, that complexity brings us to our final major theme. Ethiopia's big push for global reintegration through WTO accession. This has been going on for ages, hasn't it?
2 decades. But there's real momentum now. They just held their 6th working party meeting. That's the second one in just 6 months.
Wow, things are picking up pace. What's the target?
The aim is full membership by March 2026. They've submitted nearly 400 legislative documents, and bilateral talks are happening with most of the key members who requested market access discussions.
What's driving this acceleration now?
Trade Minister Kasum Gofe offered a really interesting strategic rationale. He framed it not just as changing policies, because the WTO requires it, but as a way to anchor the domestic reforms they're already undertaking. Things like liberalizing the financial sector. Accession provides an external anchor, enhances predictability for foreign investors. It locks in the reforms, basically.
That makes sense. Sort of using the external process to reinforce internal goals. What are the expected benefits?
Officials are projecting pretty significant GDP growth post-accession, somewhere between 10% and 25% in the first decade.
But there must be concerns, too.
Oh, absolutely. Mird Fikre Yohannes, an investment advisor, stressed that the final technical negotiations are crucial. They need to make sure the terms protect Ethiopia's national interests and, very importantly, shield small and medium-sized businesses from being overwhelmed by a sudden influx of foreign competition.
What a journey we've taken. From the high cost of celebrating tradition at Aricha,
to the pain of a bank losing its flagship property overnight.
The struggle for textbooks, the burden of new taxes.
The rebirth of an industrial giant trying to escape its past.
And finally, this ambitious, complex push towards joining the global trade system. It really highlights those contradictions we started with.
It does. High ambition everywhere. WTO, skyscrapers, EVs, running smack into immediate costly friction on the ground. Inflation, tax burdens, supply chains that just aren't working reliably.
That gap is stark, isn't it? The gap between the policy vision from the top and the lived reality. The implementation challenges, the costs borne by ordinary people and businesses.
Absolutely. That tension defines so much of what's happening right now.
Thank you for joining us for this deep dive.